The year 2022 delivered an exciting lineup of zombie movies and series. In this video, we've compiled all zombie productions of 2022, ranked from best to worst. Use the IMDb ratings shown in the video to decide what's worth watching and what to skip. Whether you're looking for thrilling hits or curious about the disappointments, this list has everything zombie fans need to know. Virus 32. Imagine a world where every breath could be your last. Virus 32 takes us to the deserted streets of Montevideo, where a mysterious virus turns people into uncontrollable killing machines. These are no ordinary zombies. They are fast, brutal, and terrifyingly intelligent beasts. Each infection leads to an instantaneous transformation, and the bloodthirsty hordes hunt without rest. But there is something even more sinister. After each attack, they have a momentary 32-second downtime. Is this a chance to escape, or just another trap? The story centers on Iris, the warden of an abandoned sports club, who is desperately trying to protect her daughter. With time running out and the virus spreading like wildfire, every second becomes a fight for survival. Tension rises as Iris discovers that the virus is not just chaos. It is a perfectly planned symphony of terror. Virus 32 is a chilling nightmare in which there is no room for error. Will you survive these 32 seconds? Among the living. In the middle of a forgotten forest, a brother and sister wake up in an unknown place, surrounded by impenetrable darkness and ominous silence. They don't remember how they got there, and every step seems to lead into a trap. Their relationship is strained, filled with the pain of past wounds, but now they are on their own. As they try to find a way out, they discover that they are not alone. Something is watching them, something inhuman. Pursued by a ruthless hunter, they must face not only a physical threat, but also the mysteries that surround them. As tensions mount, the brother and sister begin to suspect that the forest that imprisons them has dark intentions of its own, and that their survival may depend on painful sacrifices. Betrayal and survival go hand in hand here, and the real danger lurks closer than they think. The Amityville Rising. Everything changed when a nearby military base exploded, releasing a deadly gas into the atmosphere. It seemed that the rain that began to fall moments later would bring relief after a hot day. But these drops were out of the ordinary. They contained a substance that revived the dead. Those who should be resting in eternal sleep were returning, hungry and unforgiving. A sergeant from the local police, desperately trying to get the situation under control, knows that his priority is to protect his son. Chaos quickly engulfed the town, and their home, which was supposed to be a refuge, became a trap. The terrifying sounds of banging on doors and windows announced that time was running out. Every second was a struggle for survival, and every step out the door was a risk of life. Day 0. After spending 8 years in prison for past mistakes, a former elite soldier finally regains his freedom. He dreams of only one thing: returning to his family, to his wife and young daughter, whom he hardly knows. However, what he finds outside the prison walls does not resemble the world he left. A devastating epidemic has gripped the earth, and the virus that has decimated humanity is turning people into terrifying, merciless creatures. Trying to find his family turns into a nightmare. The streets, once full of life, are now dominated by the undead, who hunt in endless hordes. Every step is a struggle for survival, and every corner can be a trap. Driven only by love for his family and guilt, the man makes his way through the ruined city in a desperate race against time. This is his last chance for redemption, his last hope to save those he loves most, even if the world doesn't seem to offer any chance. Apokawixa. A pandemic is raging in the world, forcing people to lock themselves in their homes. Young people, tired of isolation and daily monotony, decide to escape from the gray reality and organize an illegal party in an isolated house by the sea. At first, Everything seems perfect: music, alcohol, freedom. However, something disturbing lurks in the darkness. Unaware that their party will become the beginning of a nightmare, the young participants begin to notice strange behavior in their friends. The contagion spreads like an invisible wave, and people are overwhelmed by uncontrollable aggression. They don't know if it's a virus or something worse, something that turns them into mindless, bloodthirsty beasts. The boundary between human and monster is fading. In the middle of the forest, surrounded by sea and darkness, the young heroes must fight for survival, not knowing who they can trust and who has already become part of the new, terrifying reality: Eradication. In a world where a virus has turned most of humanity into bloodthirsty, brutal beasts, there are a handful of survivors. The main character, isolated from the world, fights not only the monsters outside the window, but also his own sense of loneliness. In confinement, communication with his wife via radio is the only thread connecting him to his former life. But his breath, his blood, they hide a dark secret. Infected, he struggles daily with a virus just waiting to take over. He fights not for his life, but for his last scrap of humanity. When the government learns of his condition, he becomes a target, not as a victim, but as the key to creating a weapon. In this world where nothing is certain, the line between human and monster is blurring faster than anyone could have predicted. All of us are dead. In a small Korean town, a schoolgirl is bitten by a rat in a biology lab. But it's no ordinary bite. The virus she carries inside her turns her into a bloodthirsty monster, ready to attack everything in its path. Within hours, the school turns into a real hell. Students and teachers die, only to return moments later as terrifying, fast zombies. The corridors are filled with screaming, and the walls are not enough protection against the spreading chaos. In the midst of this apocalypse, a group of students try to survive, trapped where every corner could be their last. Any suspicious cough or movement in the shadows could mean that one of them is already infected. Outside, there is no rescue. The government declares a quarantine and abandons the city to the virus. Inside the school, the fight for survival turns into a brutal test of humanity, where the threat comes not only from monsters, but also from people willing to do anything to survive. Zombivli. The main characters are Sudhir, a confident and somewhat arrogant politician, and Vishwas, an ordinary resident of a slum neighborhood whose life is filled with a daily struggle for survival. Their fates intertwine at the least expected moment, when a mysterious virus begins to turn people into zombies. Sudhir, focused on gaining power and recognition, initially treats the epidemic as an opportunity to show his power and influence. But as the situation spirals out of control and the threat reaches closer to his family, he is forced to confront his own selfishness. Vishwas, who has always felt invisible in society, is faced with a choice: whether to risk everything to save loved ones and fellow residents, or to escape, saving only himself. The film combines a chilling atmosphere with a surprising dose of humor as the characters, so different yet forced to work together, face the horde of the living dead. Final cut. On the set of a low-budget horror film, the crew faces a unique challenge. The director demands a realism that borders on obsession. Soon the line between fiction and reality begins to blur when a real threat unexpectedly appears during the shoot. Actors and technicians are drawn into a vortex of chaos, where blood gushes and screams stop sounding pretend. The cameras continue to capture every moment because the director won't let the footage stop, claiming it's perfect for a movie. There is no more artificial characterization. This is a real struggle for survival in a scene full of decaying bodies and sinister figures. When illusion becomes reality, every move could be the last, and the only hope is to reveal what lies behind the scenes of this dark spectacle. But will anyone manage to escape with their lives before the film reaches its final frame? Tales of the Walking Dead. In a world where chaos has become an everyday reality, each story hides a unique nightmare. Somewhere among the ruins of human civilization, survival is not only a struggle against the hordes of the dead, but also against the shadow of human hearts. Tales of the Walking Dead is an anthology of dark tales, showing people in the most extreme situations. Each episode opens a new chapter, from desperate rescue attempts to betrayals and despair, to grotesque moments when hope becomes an illusion. These are the stories of lonely wanderers, groups of survivors, and those who were able to find cruel beauty in the madness of the world. The living and the dead intermingle, and the line between man and monster blurs in the shadow of the apocalypse. Every decision could be the last, and every encounter a death trap. El Último Zombi. A mysterious infection is beginning to spread in the remote seaside resort of Santa Sofia del Mar, known for its luxury spa. Genetic scientist Nicholas Finnegan is sent to this isolated location to investigate the source of the threat. During his investigation, he discovers that the missing renowned doctor, suspected of human experimentation, was last seen at this very resort. What's more, the missing doctor's wife contracted the mysterious disease after a visit to the spa. Determined to find out the truth, Finnegan takes up residence in an old guest house that hides dark secrets. As the infection takes hold and the lines between science and madness blur, the scientist faces a terrifying reality. Is this place the epicenter of the coming apocalypse? Will he be able to stop the spreading evil before it consumes all of humanity? Unhuman. A group of high school students embarks on a school trip, but their journey turns into a real nightmare when the school bus is attacked. Chaos fills the air, and the dark sounds of approaching danger arouse their worst fears. Escape leads them into the woods, where they hide from an unimaginable threat, humans transformed into brutal, bloodthirsty creatures. In this claustrophobic and wild setting, the group is forced to face not only a new, unknown horror, but also their own weaknesses and hidden conflicts. Secrets come to light, trust begins to crack, and every next step could be their last. With bloody scenes and the struggle for survival, the line between human and monster blurs in a frightening way. Zombae. In the quiet suburbs, a housewife's life went on with the usual rhythm, shopping, dinners, and routine arguments with her husband. But everything changed the moment she discovered that her beloved was not coming home as the same man. He had become a zombie, with an unstoppable appetite for human flesh. The initial shock turned into a grotesque daily routine in which she had to face her new reality. Was it still her husband, the man she loved, or just a hungry monstrosity? Living in hiding, feeding him raw meat, and making sure he didn't hunt her neighbors became increasingly difficult. The woman is faced with a question that would never have occurred to her before. Should fidelity to her marriage vows continue even in the face of the apocalypse? Her dilemma is not only terrifying, but also tragically absurd. How long can you love someone who can devour you? Zomblogalypse. The zombie apocalypse may seem like the end of everything, but for three friends it becomes the beginning of something entirely new, a video blog. In a world where most people have either died or joined the bloodthirsty hordes, they decide to document their daily lives in a world under siege. Weapons? Missing? A plan for survival? Doesn't exist. But a camera and an absurd sense of humor? They have that in abundance. In their films, they capture a grotesque reality, from attempts to cook in a dilapidated kitchen to clashes with zombies that sometimes resemble more clumsy neighbors than the terrors of the world. But behind it all is a question. Can humor and content creation help maintain the remnants of humanity in a world where all else has been lost? As the horror of the apocalypse mixes with jokes, their video blog becomes a chronicle of humanity's demise and bizarre survival amid the chaos. Zombies continue to dominate the screens, and 2022 was full of exciting premieres. Which titles impressed you the most, and which ones disappointed you? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more rankings.